Welcome back. We are in video 2 of lesson 3.1. So in the previous video, we covered vertical translations. We learned that you would have to add to the entire function in order to translate it up or down on a coordinate plane. Now it makes sense that we would want to transform functions to go left and right on the coordinate plane. These are called horizontal shifts because I'm moving left and right. And instead of adding c to the entire function, we are now just going to add c to the x value, or to the variable of the function. So instead of adding it to f of x plus c, we're going to have f of x plus c, that just the x value is getting changed. This is going to shift it to the left. If c is subtracted from the variable, then we are going to move that graph to the right. So again, instead of having something that looks like this, where we add the c to the entire function, we are just adding c to the x value, and that moves it left and right. Notice that things are a bit weird here. When you're making changes inside those parentheses, so next to your variable, things kind of do the opposite of what you expect. When I add, I think things are going to get bigger. So I think on the coordinate plane that I'm going to go to the right. But in actuality, you add to go left. You subtract to go right. If you want more information about why it works that way, then you can look at this little yellow box here. But trust me, add to go left, subtract to go right. It's always the opposite of what you expect when you're inside the parentheses. So here's what this would look like in an example. Write an equation that would transform the parent function y equals 3 to the x to the left 2 points. Well, we're going to make that change to just the x. So instead of just popping a plus 2 right here, I'm going to put with this x plus 2, because adding makes the equation go to the left. If you look at Desmos, see my basic 3 to the x function here. When I add a plus 2 inside those parentheses, it takes this thing and shifts it over 2 points. This was at 0, 1. Now it's at 0, negative 2, because I added 2 and it moved to the left. Okay, whereas if I had added 2 outside of the parentheses, it would have gone up, like we learned in the previous video. All right, so let's go back over here. This one wants us to write an equation that would transform that parent function to the right 3. Well, if I'm trying to go to the right, then it needs to happen inside the parentheses, and the right means I subtract. So again, if you want to go to Desmos really quickly, we can go up here, and if I want to move that to the right, I'm going to do minus 3, and it's going to move me this way. Oops, I did minus 2. Minus 3 moves me 3 spaces to the right. All right, let's do another example, this time with quadratics. When you are trying to add to the variable in a quadratic, your parentheses are going to look like this. You're going to be with the x, and your exponent of 2 is going to be outside of that entire thing. So this wants to know what's going to happen to the graph if I add 1/3 to my x. Well, with any function, it doesn't matter whether it's linear, quadratic, or exponential, with any function, adding to the variable makes it go left by however much you added. So I added 1/3, so it's going to go to the left 1/3. So that means this point 0, 0 is now going to be negative 1/3 0. This point 1, 1 is now going to be 2/3 1. This point is going to be negative 1 and 1/3 1, and I'm going to end up with the quadratic that looks very, very similar, but just slightly, oops, I can't draw parabolas, guys, but just slightly to the left. Pretend that's a straight line. All right, this one over here then, it wants to know what would happen if we transformed it. Instead of x squared, we have x minus 3 squared. Well, subtracting from the variable moves it right 3 spaces. So instead of 0, 0, I'm going to be 3, 0. And instead of 1, 1, I'm going to be 4, 1. And instead of negative 1, 1, I'm going to be at 1, 2, 3. I'm going to be right here at 2, 1. And I get this parabola. Really all there is to it, guys. This lesson is very much about learning some rules. We'll show you some other ways in class that you can figure it out if you forget the rules, but learning the rules is going to be the quickest, easiest way to get to your answer. All right, go ahead and try these U-tries. Make sure you check your answers on the website or on the key provided in the classroom, and I'll see you on the other side.